Hi again then guys, and welcome to another Special Projects Replica style build. And in this particular build we are turning the C7 Corvette Stingray, this is the standard Stingray, not the test car or the GT concept, into about as close a replica as we can currently get, especially visually, to the Corvette C7R race car. Now the C7R actually has less power, funnily enough, than the road-going version, but weighs significantly less, of course, has far superior handling and is much quicker around the track. Now, as far as the visuals, they're relatively simple, but we'll give it a quick run through anyway. Then we'll go over to the tuning garage for the mechanical setup and finally take it out to the Indy circuit to see how it performs as a race car. So for the visual look on this particular model, I've gone for the Type B body kit, which is essentially the same as Type A, but it's finished in carbon to give it that racing look. We have fitted the flat floor, which increases your PP, makes it look more authentic, and most importantly increases your downforce and grip. For the rear wing, we've gone for a custom wing. I've gone for the Type E wing support, which is a relatively minimal support. We've gone for the Type B wing itself, which has this dipped section in the centre, and then we've gone for the Type C winglets on the end. And as far as the size, we've gone for +6 on width and -5 on height, because although it does have a big wing, you don't want it to look cartoonish. As far as the rims, we have gone for, I believe if I remember correctly, the standard size, and we have gone for these GT 9-spoke rims. You cannot fit additional meters on this car. And as far as the colour, technically speaking, you have a couple of options. If you want it to be as authentic as possible, the best type of colour to go for would be the yellow that actually comes with the Corvette, because technically that is pretty much the same yellow as the race car. But I've actually gone for something a little bit more creative and a little bit more different, which is Giallo Corona, which is a pearlescent colour which you can get from the Diablo GT from Lamborghini. And it's a very similar yellow, but it has almost a slight silk effect to it, which I think looks perfect on this car. Kind of, as I said, a silk effect, almost like a candy or matte effect as well. It's a very unique colour. As I said, it's from the Diablo GT if you want to try it out. We've also gone for that colour on the wing, and for the rims themselves, we have gone for the glitched solid black, which I think most people know about by this point, but if you're not aware of it, you can get that black by purchasing the red number 764 colour on the Peugeot VGT. As far as I can remember, there are a couple of other colours which you can get it from, but I chose to get it from the red. And other people have said that I believe the blue does it as well, but I know that the red does for sure. And unfortunately, as far as I can remember, oh, no, that's actually wrong. I thought that you couldn't paint the brakes on this one. But for the brakes, I will do it now. First time I've done that in a video. You're actually watching it being done. But for the brakes, I would also recommend using the same black, because if you look at racing cars, you'll notice that you very rarely actually notice the colour of the rims or the brakes. Most of the look of the car is focused on the body rather than the rims and the brakes. So I'd recommend going for that black for both the rims and the calipers. So that's it for the visual look overall. I've also gone for the number 4 race number on the car, which is one of the numbers of the actual C7Rs. And that's it for the visual look overall. So now let's go over to the tuning garage for the mechanical setup. So as far as the mechanical setup on this particular model, as you can see, it's for the 585 pp category. We're running the exact power and weight of the actual C7R according to the official specs provided by the guys who built it, basically. So I'm running racing soft tyres. Everyone has their own preference there, of course. As far as suspension, we've got the ride height as low as possible. Springs we've increased to 1425 and 1575. The dampers to 5, anti-roll to 4, neutral camber and tow. We'll come back to the gearbox in a second. For the diff, we're running the lowest initial torque and the lowest braking, and an acceleration sensitivity of 40. As far as the power, as I said, it does run less power than the actual road-going versions of the C7. This does have an oil change, And as far as the actual parts, as you can see, we've gone for the Stage 3 engine tune, the sports computer, manifold, cat and intake, and then we've reduced the power down to 488 horsepower. I had to fit these parts for two reasons. One, because I wanted to raise the red line of the engine to make it sound and rev more like a racing model, and also because this was the only way really with fitting these exact parts that we could get it to have both 488 horsepower but also be PP relevant at the 585 level. As far as downforce, we're running the maximum. It's not very much, but thankfully it's a good handling car anyway. You want the Stage 3 weight reduction, which brings you down to, funnily enough, the exact weight of the C7R. But then I've gone a little step further. I've also done the window weight reduction, which takes it down another 10 kilos. So then we've added 10 kilos of ballast and put that all the way to the rear of the car. You don't necessarily have to do that, but that just makes it a little bit more inclined towards the rear. It's still a 50-50 split, but it technically makes it more of a 50.5 to 49.5 split towards the rear, just to give those rear wheels a tiny bit more traction compared to the front. As far as the gearbox, we've got an auto setting of 180, and this is predominantly a 6-speed gearbox like the actual race car. For the individual gears, we've gone for 3950, 2775, 2.1, 1675, 1375, 1150 and 1, with a final drive of 2.3, and that's good enough to give you a top speed of around 190 to 200, so pretty decent for the power, for the downforce and for the PP. So that's it for the mechanical setup. Now let's finally take it out to the Indy circuit to see how it performs. Now overall, I was hopeful for this car being a C7R replica, but I wasn't sure exactly how authentic it would feel, considering that it of course doesn't have the correct proportions of the C7R. The racing version has of course the wide body kit with a much wider track, the wheels are spaced out more, and that does make a big difference to the handling of a car. But I'm happy to say that overall, this representation of about as close as we can get to a C7R on the game feels great. The handling is fantastic. The particular exhaust which I've got, which I believe was the stock exhaust if I remember correctly, sounds fantastic, far better than the race exhaust in my opinion. It has that kind of dull, muffled sound that many race cars have now. It's very competitive for its PP, has superb handling, great brakes, and as I said, the top speed is around the 190-200 kind of region, using predominantly the 6 gears. And overall, if you decide to use this build, obviously I hope you find it fun and competitive. And if you're new to the channel and would like to keep up with new builds and replicas like this as soon as they come out, be sure to hit subscribe down below. And as always, thanks for watching.